free WagerTalk text club to gain access to free plays and exclusive discounts. Just text WagerTalk to 33222 to sign up and get a $10 coupon to use on WagerTalk.com.
Welcome into First Pitch Friday edition for June 25th. I am Drew Martin, joined by Dave Koken and Brian Leonard of WagerTalk.com. Guys, remember it's Freebie Friday. When I want to check out both websites, WagerTalkSportsMemo.com. A lot going on there. First up here for the Friday card, which we're breaking down 4 games, best bets at the end. Dave Koken. Dave, happy Friday to you. Welcome into the show, buddy.
Thanks, Drew. I had an uneventful night last night. I made one bet. It was the Red Sox first 5 innings. Nick Pivetta pitched a no-hitter through, I think, six plus maybe. But the Red Sox couldn't score. So I ended up with a push on that. But once again, the stance of going first 5 rather than full game pays off because the Red Sox lost the game in the 9th inning on a wild pitch. Now, that was good for you because you had the Rays full game. So it actually kind of worked out for both of us, Drew. I got a push, which I'm not going to complain about, and you got a win. Very good. I've got a free play up for tonight, which we're actually going to talk about here on the show. Also have one featured play today, and you can get that right now at wt.buzz/DC. That's my homepage at Wager Talk. Still number 1 in baseball this year and was number 1 in baseball last year. And we're joined by the guy who was number 1 in baseball for the last 4 years combined. So, maybe a cream of the crop show today.
Hey, maybe a cream of the crop show, Dave. And yeah, the Rays did happen to come in for me. Unfortunately, my best bet was on the Orioles, and that was an absolute dud. So looking to bounce back today in that one. It's actually the first game up, my best bet. But like Dave mentioned, he's number 1 in MLB last year. And over the last 4 years, Brian Leonard, number 1 on top here on the diamond. Brian, welcome in. Happy Friday to you.
Yes, happy Friday to everybody. And things seem to be going pretty well for a lot of us. And I was just talking to Dave a little bit before the show. He's just been on some tremendous run. I mean, baseball, hockey, it's just been awesome. Yeah, we had Montreal's finally play yesterday. And good part was it was a 5% winner. And it made some money on it. Bad part was I can no longer sell my Stanley Cup tickets because we're not going. So, yeah, it's a mixed bag, but hey, I'm in this to win and win for my clients. And it's been going really well. We've got 10 straight winners going into today, and I've got a 3-pack of baseball up, and I've got an NBA play up for the NBA playoffs. And hockey and NBA playoffs have gone 16-7, 70%. So it's been a long time since I've been able to say I've been on this kind of run because we got off to that lousy start for this baseball season. But right now it's going really well, and I think I owe it to Dave because last Friday we talked on the show and he encouraged everybody to buy my package based on the past history. And if they have, they're rolling in the dough right now.
All right. Well, good stuff, Brian. And guys, shout out to the chat box right now. Sorry for the glitch there. We got Jessica joining us live here. Feel free to chime in. We were just talking about cream of the crop show. So getting to the games here, Dave, we got the New York Yankees and Boston Red Sox up first here. German and Perez. Perez, the lefty, total of 10, -120 here. The Yankees looks like the road favorite, 7:10 Eastern, first game up here. Red Sox and Yankees, Dave. What are you thinking in Fenway tonight?
Well, the best rivalry in baseball this year is clearly the Padres and Dodgers. I mean, that has been absolutely sensational stuff to watch. But if you're talking traditional rivalries, it doesn't get better than the Yankees and Red Sox. Fenway will be hopping tonight, that's for sure. Red Sox coming home after losing a couple straight at Tampa. Their offense disappeared last night. This has nothing to do with handicapping, but I tweeted this last night, and they got to get Dahlbeck out of the lineup. You can't have a first baseman who's hitting 200. He's got power, and he's not a bad first baseman. But, you got a problem when your first baseman's hitting ninth to begin with, and they had to pinch hit for him in the middle of the game last night. And in the 5th inning, man on third, 2 outs, and it's like he's going to strike out, and he did. I think he struck out in 10 of his last 11 appearances. Go out and get somebody. I know Joey Votto's name's been coming up, but I don't think you have to go that high profile for me. And I'll get Brian's opinion on this because he knows the Pirates pretty well. I think Colin Moran would be a good get for the Red Sox. He doesn't cost that much. The Pirates won't ask that much for him because I believe he's on a 1-year contract, so they're not going to be able to ask for much for him anyway. Moran's a good fit for Fenway Park. He'll hit 280 there. He can probably field the position as well as Dahlbeck, and you got to get that guy out of the lineup. I mean, he's a good prospect, but he's not ready yet, and he's really hurting the team, and he hurt him last night. Anyway, as far as this game goes, Herman has the edge over Martin Perez on the pitching, but it's one of those kind of edges that I don't particularly care for because while Perez has really bad numbers at home, average game score at Fenway is 42, and he's been really bad lately there, and this is not a good ballpark for his stuff, in my opinion. But Herman's only 47 average game score on the road, so even though he's superior, he's not even average. And it's not like he's been in great form lately either. I think you might see the offenses bust loose in this one a little bit. Yankees are hitting the ball quite well right now. They're in one of their grooves offensively, and a lot of that has to do with Gary Sanchez, who has taken the advice of Marcus Thames, the hitting coach, and has made a change in his mechanics, and it's really working out well. And that's definitely had a plus effect on the Yankees lineup. Red Sox should start hitting again now that they're back home. I think you get a high-scoring game here between the Yankees and Red Sox. I'll look at the over.
Brian, we got the Yankees and Red Sox, and a question from Dave. What are your thoughts tonight, man?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense to me. I tried to get Bobby Dahlbeck earlier in the season in a trade, and I couldn't get him, and I'm kind of glad I didn't because I saw his raw power, and the guy definitely has it, but he strikes out too much. You take a look at his whiff percentage, 40.5, the worst on either one of these teams, and that includes Stanton and some other guys, and Sanchez, and so he's a guy that not only swings and misses that much, he just hasn't been able to get on base because it's either home run or nothing. And I talked about this on a show a few weeks ago. I hate this 3-outcome situation in baseball. It's just too unpredictable, which makes our job harder. The Pirates have a few guys. I think the second baseman is going to be gone too, and maybe the closer for the Pirates in the next couple of weeks. So they've got some guys that'll go out on the market, and they're not going to get paid a lot from the other team. So it's a situation where I think it's a good move for the Red Sox. I would much rather have a guy. Well, they had Moreland the last few years, and he's more of a guy that you really need at this point.
Yep.
He's not going to dazzle you with power, but he's a good all-around player, and they had a lot of success in that regard. So I agree with Dave there. In this game, Herman's the better pitcher. When you take a look at the year-to-date numbers, neither pitcher really gives up a lot of hard hits. Perez is at 39% and Herman at 35.4. Neither pitcher really walks a lot, but Dave pointed out that Perez doesn't really pitch well in this ballpark, and you find that a lot. It's a lot of signings that I don't understand, that especially in the divisions you're in, when they bring in a guy that is a left-handed pitcher and he goes into parks that hit left-handers in that division. I don't understand bringing those guys in. That's just a general thought. But when these two teams get together, I like to play the underdog, which would be Boston. But I just don't see enough to make a decision one way or the other here. So I'm going to pass. This is probably my weakest opinion out of the group that we're going to talk about today.
Okay, but it's a big one here whenever the Yankees and Red Sox are going at it. You know, talking about German here, the 28-year-old Dominican, I was actually looking to bet against him, guys. He's given up 17 hits in his last 8 innings, also hasn't pitched well in Fenway. But the Red Sox here, this is their first game home off of an 8-game road trip, also a 3-city road trip. So that's kind of a bet against as well. So that's the reason that I stayed off of the Red Sox in terms of a side-wise. But this is my best bet, and going after the total, we'll hit that at the end of the show. Second game up here, we got the Kansas City Royals and the Texas Rangers, Brian. We're seeing Mike Minor, the lefty, versus Dane Dunning. -120 here for the Rangers at home. total of 8. Kansas City coming in from playing the Yankees. They're traveling overnight and then getting into Texas tonight. And Texas, during the homestand, just split with the Oakland A's at plus money, winning their 2 games. So, heck, could it be a buy low on the Rangers tonight, Brian?
Normally, I agree with the line moves early in the morning because they're mostly wise guy money. I don't understand this one. Money's coming in on Texas here. If you take a look at Texas against lefties, I believe they got an 83 WRC plus on the season. Over the month of June, they're about a 68. So they're not hitting lefties at all. Mike Minor traditionally gives them trouble. And
guys, looks like we got a little technical difficulties there on Brian's end, but we'll get here with the Kansas City Royals and Texas Rangers. And actually, Dave, if you're still with us,
yeah,
Texas. Okay, but Brian brought up the fact that Texas was taking some money, and actually, one thing that I've noticed, it surprised me against the A's, at least in the last 2 games. I haven't tracked it past then. Texas was taking money in the last 2 games of that series against the Oakland A's, which kind of made me raise my eyebrows and what's going on there. It's something I like to track, but not going to influence my bet here. I know Texas was a team, I believe, going into the season, you weren't a fan of and actually looking to bet them under. But interested in your opinion here tonight, Royals and Rangers, Dave.
No, it's the first time I've ever done a 5% play on a season win total, and I bet under on the Rangers. So I'm reasonably content with the way that's been going so far. They played some decent ball for a while, but it has not been going well for them lately. I think Brian was pointing toward the Royals. I like that side. In fact, it's the free play tonight. I don't care where the money's going. I mean, if you want an example of that, throughout their losing streak, the Diamondbacks were regularly getting bet by the wise guys. How'd that work out?
Really?
You know, this is my credo with all sports. I don't give a shit where the money's going, unless it's going to get me a better price. And that actually enters into tonight's situation. That's the best advice I can give handicappers or bettors is do your own stuff. Okay, don't worry about it what other people are betting or where the money, who the sharps are on, who the squares are on. Okay, if you're any good, you don't care about that stuff, and except from a standpoint of garnering value, knowing where the line's going to go and being able to jump in at an advantageous price. As far as tonight's game goes, look, Minor's got better numbers on the road than Dunning has at home. Not that Dunning's actually been pretty good at home, but he's had bad luck, and the team never wins when he takes them out. They're 2-5 in his 7 home starts, 2-12 in his 14 overall starts. So they don't exactly do well when he's on the mound. Royals have won 5 of the 6 Minor starts on the road. They've got a winning record in his starts overall, and he's got a 60 average game score on the road, which is very good. His OPS numbers favor the Royals pitcher over the Rangers pitcher. And the offense, it's reasonably close in terms of lefty-righty splits, reasonably close over the last 7 days, although the Royals were facing, I would say, better pitching. But over in the month of June, Royals are plus 16 in WRC plus as opposed to the Rangers. They're not big check marks, but they're all on the same side. And I'm getting even money, or maybe even plus 105. Give me the Royals for the first 5 here. I'll keep the bullpens out of it as usual. Neither bullpen is one I have faith in. But give me Minor and the Royals for the first 5. I'm happy with that.
I like it, Dave. Great breakdown, both on tonight's game and talking about the money there, Dave. I 100% agree with you. It's totally overblown in terms of public, sharp. It's just like talking points out there. But either way, Brian, I think we got you back good here. Anything on the Royals and Rangers? And I guess your view on does the money, the quote-unquote sharp money, matter in the MLB betting markets?
Yeah, I pay attention to it a little bit based on where they're looking to play numbers. They're not looking to play teams, they're looking to play numbers. So when a line comes out, they're looking to whatever the number shows, that's where they go. The problem is everybody else sees that number and they look, well, there must be some value on this team. So whereas Kansas City, to me, was the right number over the opening number, the money came in on Texas, and they pointed out it gave us plenty of advantage to play the Royals. So I do pay attention to it. It's not something that makes a difference in my handicapping at all, but I like to be able to figure out why a team is being bet on. And same thing with Texas, as you pointed out. The last couple of days, Texas has taken money, and they did do pretty well, but I don't see any value in playing this team right now. As I pointed out earlier, I don't know if it went through. They're an 83 WRC plus against lefties on the season, and 68 in this month. So you take a look at the Royals on the season, it says that they're 13-13 against lefties. That's wrong. They don't hit lefties. They're lousy at lefties. So that's one of the things we can take advantage of, is people just looking at what the records are in these games. And I've talked about that from a few teams. So I like the Royals here. They're on my card, and I recommend a nice play on the Royals today.
All right, good stuff, Brian. And shout out to the chat box here. Patrick saying you can never trust those money splits anyway. That's a good point, Patrick. You know, a lot of sports books don't like to give out the money. So when they're talking about how much money, how much tickets, how are they getting that? I don't know. I can tell you none of the offshores are giving out the money. So take that into account. Yeah, go ahead, Dave.
Well, yeah, and the other thing is, when you see X game, and 72% of the tickets are on one side and 28% of the tickets are on the other side, that's probably only from one book. It's not a consensus.
Yeah.
And depending on the book, I mean, there are some books that are they're public houses. Okay, there are others that are sharper houses that have bigger limits, and so you got, if you don't know where that information is coming from, I wouldn't put too much weight on it.
Good points there, Dave. I second that as well. Guys, we got 2 games left. Best bets at the end. Dave, next up, we got the Cleveland Indians and Minnesota Twins here. Quantrill versus Colombe the lefty going for the Twins here. Seeing -$1.25, 9.5 the total, 8:10 Eastern, 81 degrees in Minnesota. What are you thinking here, Indians and Twins tonight, Dave?
Nothing. I'll get through this real quickly. Colombe is an opener. He's a relief pitcher, and he's basically a lefty specialist. So I don't even know if he goes through the order one time. He might be a one-inning guy, go up there and turn Ramirez to the right side and get out of the inning. And I don't know what they're doing after that, to tell you the truth. Maybe the information's out there. I kind of dismissed the game quickly, so I haven't really looked. Quantrill, I don't know which Quantrill are you going to get. He can be quite good at times. The Indians have a 65 WRC plus over the last 7 days. I'm not betting on a team that's not hitting the ball at all. And the Twins, mentally at this point, could be kind of fried. I think the Byron Buxton getting re-injured. Look, it's been a bad season for them all around. They were starting to actually play a little bit better. Buxton comes back 3 games in, he breaks his hand on a hit by pitch. I just don't know. That to me is a signal that, okay, we're going to sell. Nelson Cruz is going to be gone in a month. He'll go to some other team in the American League that needs a DH. Their season's over, and I don't like backing teams like that. So I'm out of this game by a mile. There's 15 games on the schedule today. This would be number 15 in terms of opinion.
All right. And Brian, to Dave's point, there was a lot of heavy favorites on tonight's card, a lot of games, good ones. But in terms of last night, for whatever reason, there was a lot of games without lines up. So when we put this into it, I noticed you were, each and every Friday here, it's the Cleveland Indians. So any opinion here with the Indians and Twins, Brian?
Yeah, I just want to touch on the last thing we talked about the numbers. It would be helpful if they said 72% of the money was in on Team A -4 as opposed to Team A. Now, if it goes to Team A -5 and there's no money on it, that tells me something. If it goes to -5 and still they're betting that also tells me something. But to tell me overall what it is, it doesn't do me any good whatsoever.
And one other note is, suppose the house they're using, we'll give you an example, William Hill. William Hill has an extraordinary volume. Okay, it's huge, but they've got a lot of small players. It's more of a recreational house. So, and that's not a knock on them. It's that they're tailored to recreational bettors. So if you get 75% of the tickets on one side at William Hill, and they send me their ticket percentages. They send it to a lot of us who are on their mailing list, and I appreciate the information. It's great. And Nick Bogdanovich is a fantastic guy, one of my old friends in town, the odds maker for William Hill. But if 75% of the tickets are on at William Hill are on one side, it doesn't necessarily correlate that's necessarily it might be 50% someplace else, depending on what type of clientele another book has. You got to take that stuff with a grain of salt. I wish they would. That's what I wish they would do is, if you're listing ticket percentage, list which book it is that's providing information, rather than misleading people to think, and it is misleading people to think that it's industry wide. It's not the case.
Yeah, go ahead, Brian, on tonight's Cleveland Minnesota game.
Yeah, Minnesota just signed Bearclaw. He's a guy that I can't believe was out of baseball for a little while. The Yankees hadn't let him go, but he'll boost this bullpen, and it wouldn't surprise me if he ends up being the closer. I know he's had problems with control over the years, but he's a major strikeout guy. Yeah,
that means you're bidding on him this Sunday in our fantasy league. Thanks for the information.
I knew I shouldn't have mentioned it. Anyway, with the starter going for Minnesota, they're going to have a lot of guys going from the bullpen, and we know what the Minnesota bullpen has done this year. So I think I'm a little bit worried for that. Cal Quantrill is one of those guys that has always had the talent. He came to Cleveland, and Cleveland's done a really nice job developing guys from their pitching standpoint. So his hard hit rate is terrific this year, only 30%. But he's not a major strikeout guy. He's a fringe starter in Major League Baseball, if you ask me. And neither team right now is hitting the ball very well. This is, Dave pointed out, it was his low point on being able to pick a winner in this game. I've gone back and forth. It's a game that I'm really not that interested in, and I watch every Indians game. I'm not even sure I want to watch this one. So I don't know what to say in this regard, and I echo a lot of Dave's opinion.
All right, good stuff, guys. So maybe skip the Cleveland, Minnesota game tonight, even coming from an Indians fan and Brian Leonard. And guys, make sure to check him out, WagerTalk.com, experts page, Brian Leonard, and also Dave Koch. And Brian, #1 in MLB over the last 4 years. Dave is actually the Triple Crown winner right now in all three sports. He's handicapping #1 at WagerTalk. So check out both of them, both good handicappers at WagerTalk.com. We got one game left, best bets at the end. If you're liking the content, please smash the like button. Nightcap for the show here, Brian. We got Oakland and the San Francisco Giants, Johnny Cueto and Sean Manaea. Seeing near a pick'em price here. Now seeing Oakland about -110 road favorites, 7.5 being the total in San Francisco. Seeing about 15 miles an hour wind blowing out, 60 degrees tonight in California. Interested in getting involved here in the A's and Giants tonight, Brian?
It's tough to go against San Francisco playing at home. They've been terrific at home this year. All their pitchers seem to be having a pretty decent year. Probably the least of those starters is probably Johnny Cueto. But Sean Manaea has been very good. He's a guy who doesn't walk. In fact, neither one of these pitchers walk many batters. Manaea 5.9% walk rate and Cueto 4.3. So we may have a situation where we don't get a lot of batters on base in this one. But it's a situation for me where I think the line is pretty much where it should be. There's some nice stats for Oakland here, and Oakland's been pretty decent on the road. I think the line is where it should be, though. It's tough for me to make a side for either one of these. And, when you put out, 15 games a day, there's going to be a few of them that you don't have much of an opinion on. We've picked out 3 of them for myself that I don't have, but I'll have a nice free play here for you that I really like in just a moment.
Dave, bringing in handedness of the pitcher, how the lineups fare, both of these good in terms of Oakland against righties and San Francisco against lefties. Oakland 21-13 on the road. However, the Giants 8-2 their last 10, winning 3 straight at home. This is a good one tonight. You interested in getting involved here, A's and Giants?
It really is a good one. I mean, this is for those of us on the West Coast. This is maybe it's not Padres Dodgers, but I'll tell you what, it's pretty close. And both teams are playing good ball. The Giants are a first-place team, and I think we've reached the point where we can stop calling them a fluke because they were in it last year until basically the final weekend. And they're in first place this year. They believe in themselves, and Gabe Kapler's doing a great job getting everybody involved. I mean, if you look at the Giants on a nightly basis, I don't know that there's any team that plays more guys than the Giants do. He's maneuvering throughout the game and trying to get his team the best advantage. Right now, I know Philadelphia fans will cringe when I say this, but right now, Gabe Kapler's got to be the manager of the year in the National League, doesn't he? Anyway, as far as tonight goes, I think I agree with Brian and his assessment in that you can make a case for the A's here, but they did that with the price. I mean, San Francisco's been a terrific home team, and I can't really get in line with the idea of laying a price, especially first 5 innings. You're looking at -120 or -125. A little better pitcher with Manaea, and I think Oakland's a little better ball club, to be honest with you. And you can argue they've got a little better bullpen, but they're a little bit of a favorite as well. This is the value aspect of baseball that I know Brian focuses on, and so do I. If this game were Giants, maybe -110, where I could get Oakland at even money, particularly in the first 5, I'd probably take a shot with it. But having to lay a price, that negates the value advantage, or that negates the handicapping advantage I give slightly to Oakland. It's in the price. So if you're asking for an opinion, I think Oakland wins, but I'm not going to back it with a bet.
Yeah, good stuff there from Dave Koken. Really knows his baseball betting, and talking about price there. It's always important. Any sport, especially in MLB here, guys. Dave, you bring up the fact of this isn't a fluke anymore, and I'm just going over the numbers here. It looks like we're about at the 75-ish game mark after this weekend. The season's going to be half over here, and we got San Francisco 4.5 game lead. Not only are they in first, they're up nearly 5 games over the Dodgers and Padres. You think they got a shot here? If you're picking the winner of the NL West, who do you think comes out on top at the end of the season, Dave?
I mean, you're supposed to say the Dodgers, but I don't know. I mean, the Dodgers are not playing at the level they did last year. They've had a lot of injury issues. The Padres are very exciting. Can they keep it going for a full season? I think they can. I think I'd make the Padres the favorite. And here's what we know. The Padres will be buying. Okay, they decided to go all in before the season started, so they're not going to suddenly change their mentality at the trade deadline, and they're going to go out and add whatever they feel they need to add. The Giants, however, are an organization that has also been willing to spend at the deadline, and I think they're looking at themselves right now and saying, we've got a legit ace in Kevin Gausman, who since he refined this splitter, it's kind of like the 20th century version of Mike Scott, who was an ordinary pitcher for the Astros years back and developed a splitter and all of a sudden became completely unhittable before his arm fell off. Gausman, you can call him Mike Scott light because he was just a guy floating around the major leagues and basically was almost out of the majors and really developed a splitter, and it's become a great pitch for him. If you watch Gausman pitch, it's almost unhittable. The late movement on it is great. It looks like a strike, and then it drops out of the strike zone, and you can't hit it. So you've got a legit number one. I think they're gonna look to add a bullpen piece and maybe another stick. I think the Giants are sticking around.
Yeah, and Brian, any quick thoughts here on the NL West winner by the end of the season?
I'll take the Dodgers. The Dodgers have more depth than anybody else. They have the money to go out and buy it. Dave mentioned that Mike Smith with his arm falling off. Reminded me of Dave Dravecky, for a guy that as old as Dave and I broke his arm pitching in Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
Brought back a bad memory. But the Giants have done terrific in this season, and I'm really rooting for them. I've been to a lot of Major League Baseball stadiums, and going as a visiting player, San Francisco was very nice to the visiting teams and the visiting fans, and I like that. And so then they made a fan out of me. So I hope they do very well, but I think the Dodgers are the team to beat here. But we'll have to see how it goes.
That's a great ballpark, by the way.
Yep.
San Francisco. Oh my! I have not been to the ballpark in Pittsburgh, which I'm told is
Beautiful.
maybe the best in baseball. But I've been to San Francisco. I mean, you better bring a lot of money with you because the food is just unbelievably expensive. But it is an absolutely gorgeous ballpark. Best I've ever been to personally.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great division for baseball. It's also a great division for ballparks. I mean, we got Petco Park out there. I mean, Dodger Stadium, I guess. I don't know if it's a great one, but it houses a lot of people. So
Yeah, Dodger Stadium was the showcase for many years, but it's kind of not in a great location. Unlike San Diego, you work out of Petco, and you're in the gas lamp.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great.
Oh yeah.
The Dodger Stadium, you're in the parking lot. That's all you got, and then you're stuck in traffic. You can't get. I actually turned down tickets to Dodger games. It's like, nah, I don't want to go there. I'll go to San Diego. I might even fly to San Francisco now that the pandemic's over. And Arizona's a nice ballpark where you can always get good tickets because nobody shows up for their games on the home team. But I'll pass on Dodger Stadium at this point.
All right, good stuff, guys. We got best bets at the end. Hey, let us know below if you're watching on replay or watching live. Who you think will win the NL West here? We got the Giants, 4.5 game lead over the Padres, and the Dodgers here surprising out the gate. We're almost to the halfway point. So, yeah, let's see what you think below on YouTube here. Feel free to comment below. We got, go ahead, Dave.
You didn't even mention the Diamondbacks. Oh.
I like what you did there. Yeah, nobody goes, and the Diamondbacks 21-55.
Nice.
Oh man, 28 games back already. We're not even halfway to the season. We'll be halfway through the season by the end of the weekend, right there anyway. So season's flying by, and hopefully we can get you 3 winners heading into the weekend. Time for best bets. Dave Koken, Smoking Dave Koken, #1 Triple Crown winner in the 3 games, in the 3 sports he's handicapping at WagerTalk.com. Make sure to check him out. Dave, where are you going for best bets tonight?
I already talked about this game. It's my free play today. It is one of my 2 baseball selections. You can get the other one on my homepage, wt.buzz/DC. I like the Royals in the first 5. Even money, you might get plus 105. I'll take Minor over Dunning, and that's my best bet here on the show.
All right, good stuff, guys. I'm going to the big game, Red Sox and Yankees. First game we talked about, 7:10 Eastern here. Actually, both pitchers. We talked about it earlier. Martin Perez not really set up to pitch well in Fenway. Actually, in the 4 games that German, the starter for the Yankees, has pitched in Fenway, only lasting 14 innings, near a 6 ERA, 6 walks as well. So the 28-year-old Dominican has actually given up 17 hits in his last 8 innings, not in good form right now. I don't think either starting pitcher performs well. We get the Red Sox bullpen that's not very good, and both of these lineups, I think, put up crooked numbers here. So the Yankees and the Red Sox over 10 is my best bet, going after the total there in Fenway. And Brian, you said you got a good best bet for us for the show here. So finish us off, buddy.
Yeah, we're just talking about how we didn't like Dodger Stadium, and I agree on that also. But that just brings me into my American League play, the LA Angels. I like the Angels here against Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay, from a situational standpoint, they just had that major series against the Boston Red Sox. Yesterday, they had to go late in that game. They win that game 1-0. They got 75 pitches out of Michael Wacha, but then the bullpen had to come in and throw 57. So you got a bullpen that had 3 of their key guys go yesterday. Now, they had the day off before that, or none of them pitched in the game before that. So that's an advantage. But you've got a Tampa Bay bullpen, which is normally really good. But I think Marco pointed out yesterday that they've been in somewhat of a slump as of late. And that's part of the reason why Tampa Bay has struggled as of late. So they had to go 57 pitches from their big guys yesterday. Now they got Kittredge going, which is going to be a 1 or 2 inning situation. And Kittredge is one of those guys. He's got great numbers, but he's got much better numbers coming out of the bullpen than he does from starting these games. And he's done that for about 3 years now. So I prefer the Canning side here with Griffin Canning. Young pitchers usually pitch a lot better at home than they do on the road. Canning's pretty good both home and road. Overall, he's not a terrific pitcher at all, but you're going to get 5-6 innings out of him, and the Tampa bullpen is going to be engaged much earlier than that. So I like the Angels situation here. I like the Angels at this plus number, and I think coming off of that Boston series, I think a little bit of a letdown here for Tampa.
Good stuff, Brian. And guys, in recap for the best bets, I'm on Boston, New York Yankees over 10. We got Brian Leonard, Angels plus 150, just breaking it down there. And Dave Koken, Royals, first 5 plus 108. So a total 2 underdogs. Hopefully we go 2-1, if not 3-0 on the card. Appreciate everybody tuning in. For Dave Koken, Brian Leonard, I am Drew Martin. Please smash the like button on your way out. Have a fun, safe weekend. We'll talk on Monday, same time, same place. Come back and join us. Best of luck, guys.
What's better than $2 Tuesday at Sports Memo? How about Freebie Friday? We can't go any lower than free, and each and every Friday we'll hand select a best bet from one of the hottest handicappers on the site and give it out for free. All you have to do is each and every Friday, head over to sportsmemo.com. The Freebie Friday will be listed on the homepage, and you'll be just a click away from a free bet.